Good morning. It's that time of year again when even as AP and MBA exams loom over the next few weeks, it's just about possible to glimpse the bright sunny uplands of summer in the distance. And as we turn our thoughts to that, it's also the time of year we want to take a little time to introduce the all-school read. First of all, you will be pleased to know that Mr. Joyer has finally relented to the unspoken but unmistakable demands of the student body to finally read some British history. And so, after several years of being required to read about heroic Americans overcoming major obstacles to achieve historic successes, this year you will get the chance to read about heroic Englishmen overcoming major obstacles to avoid catastrophic failure. The book in question is Endurance, the story of Ernest Shackleton's 1915 expedition to the Antarctic, where his boat became trapped by pack ice, and then it took over a year for him and some of his men to escape the ship, cross the Antarctic Ocean in a lifeboat, and then return with a rescue party to retrieve the rest of the crew. And I already know what you're thinking. How could a story about a group of men forced to undergo a relentless grind together for 9 months, only to be told when they finally make it out they have to go back after a short break and go through the whole thing again the following year, possibly relate to your experiences as students at MBA? Well, it is perhaps a stretch, but Mr. Spiegl is going to try and make a few of the themes relevant to you, so please join me in welcoming him as he introduces the story of the Endurance.
Thank you. I think Dr. Boyd nailed it. There's no one better qualified to speak about a milestone event in British history about leadership than myself. So thank you, Dr. Boyd. This is the Endurance pictured trapped in pack ice. Pay attention to that lifeboat right there. That will be the device which the men take over after they leave. I'm going to give you a couple of readings here that will cut short your summer reading. I thought this was really interesting because it's a diary entry and it explains the appearance of this image, which is also the book cover, and it's just a fantastic image of the starkness of their environment. The book is an amazing read. It goes very quick. It is full of harrowing circumstances. The great thing about the book is it's generated from all of the diary entries from the 27 participants. So what Alfred Lansing managed to do was interview them in the 50s and get this book out. And it's gone through several iterations since, but I know you're going to love it. This is the screaming 60s right here. There's the Arctic Circle, the Antarctic Circle, 66.5 south. Antarctica stands alone, surrounded by ocean, and the currents here can reach 50 miles per hour. Wave heights 50 feet. Winds 90 miles per hour, and it's on those conditions that these gentlemen sailed from England and from a whaling station here came down to cross Antarctica right here. That was their goal, be the first to the South Pole, meet up with supply chains over here. They got trapped in the pack ice here. They spent over a year getting caught in this eddy, moved by the pack ice until their ship exploded. They abandoned for those lifeboats and found refuge over here on an island where they were then, most of them trapped until a crew of 6 went up here, found rescue, and got them back. By the way, they're crossing really hazardous seas there. In their journeys, they faced all of these issues. Not the least of which is boredom, trying to keep current. They were out of touch. No one knew where they were. They were gone for 2 years. There was no radio contact. They are absolutely hung out there to dry. And the food supplies that they took were for the expedition explained, but that extended by a year. You or I on an Arctic expedition or an Antarctic expedition would seek something like this. These guys were in reindeer sleeping bags, which get wet and heavy. So back to the idea of endurance, what these 27 gentlemen went through really is the meat of the reading you're going to do. I found this I was surprised to find seal blubber, but there is 5% protein. With their supplies gone, they had to fend for themselves. No trees, no vegetation, just wildlife, and hard to catch at that. The expedition's leader, his genius was keeping the men in great spirits. He knew just which of his men worked best in which assignment. And then under extreme duress, he took that to a new level. He also followed through on very courageous decisions. And he left no man behind. All 27 men survived the ordeal, which took almost 2 years. Now, it is a story about 27 men, and so it's almost it's a little capsule that we don't see outside of. Ongoing at the same time in the world are civil rights struggles and successes. The Great War is happening. In fact, these gentlemen left with the Admiralty's permission, but they were reluctant to go, and because the Great War was starting. At the same time, the National History Museum was established. Earlier it was the Smithsonian. Millions of men lost their lives in the Great War, but vaccinations were, I think this is kind of timely, against cholera, typhus, and tetanus. Women's struggle, again, seeing their struggle in Antarctica removes you from a broader perspective. And additionally, in this country, we're trying to take care of the environment in seminal movements at the time. I want you to read this book excerpt. This is after the gentlemen make it to the lifeboats, which they've hauled across the ice, and they come to rest. Their beach is 15 yards. They are happy to be here. They've been in harrowing waters for weeks. But I wanted to contrast their setting, this with this. These are the actual men at the beach. These are those that didn't go for rescue. There's the cliff face. I saw a lot of parallels between the Game of Thrones and this story. And thank you for listening.
Dr. Boyd and Mr. Spiegl, that was a great job. I appreciate it.